Well, welcome to another great and wonderful day, y'all. Jordan's here with me. I'm Matt. This is Jordan, and this is the Matt and Jordan time. This is the time that we spend together and share stories, talk about topics, and just have some fun.
Yeah, hot topic, share story time, and anything in between. This is episode 5 now. Let's see if we actually make it to 7.
High five, Jordan.
Oh, poor audio people. No, that'll be fun. No, I'm looking forward to today. I have a question for Matt, and it's I haven't told him what it is yet, so he's just going to have to give me his initial response to what it is.
So if you don't, if this is your first time tuning in, we normally do a question of the week, and we talk about it ahead of time, and we're prepared, and we discuss it. And so today Jordan is deciding to torture me a little bit because he knows I'm a planner, I'm an organizer, and I like to be able to think about these things ahead of time. But he has assured me that this question won't leave me theologically broken in front of you. So
you should be you as a youth pastor, you should be able to answer this question.
Oh, great! So if I can't answer this, y'all, I'm turning in my resignation. You'll just know.
Well, we also do, right after the question, we'll also share a story just of our lives, sometimes with us in ministry, sometimes whenever we were the students, or any part in the middle of all of that. We'll share a story about that, and then to wrap it up, we'll do our Lose It or Lose It, so just bringing on some hot topics and getting our hot takes on what's going on in the world.
Which I don't know if I enjoy the choose it or lose it as much when we actually choose it or lose it, but the build-up to each of the questions, because we do a good job of building it up, and then the build-up to, well, this is what I'm going with, and at the end of the day, I choose it or lose it, but just the banter after it, I think that's the best part.
It's the fun part. Okay, well, man, I'm tired of all this chit-chat. Let's just get right to it.
Fair enough. Hit me with your best shot.
Okie dokie, Matt. So, we have a question of the week, and I wanted to just straight up ask you.
Okay.
What is the value of youth group?
Oh, God.
I that's kind of a big question. I think lately I've been listening to just more and more things, just kind of understanding like what youth group is, why we have it, why it was kind of made in the first place, and why we continue to push it on and make it a big thing. And I think at the end of the day, the best way to answer any questions involving that is to discuss what the value of youth ministry is, or specifically what the value of youth group is.
Golly geez, man. It's really fellowship. There's 3 levels of fellowship that come with youth group. On the broadest spectrum, you have youth group in general. Those are your meeting nights. That's when you meet, whether it's an event, whether it's a youth group where you come to on a Wednesday night, Sunday night, whatever it is. That right there provides a level of fellowship that youth need to be in, and that is in a large group environment where they can be met and engaged in a certain way, where Christ can be presented in a certain way, where they can worship, where they can play games, where they can be themselves in a large group and be able to be exposed to Jesus and have the lessons, have the sermons, have the teachings that can help them grow and develop. The worship is an essential part. I mean, you can listen to music online, you can sing by yourself, but there's just something special about worshiping with other people, particularly, again, in your age group. I mean, at Solid Rock, our youth group consists of 6th graders through 12th graders. We meet all at once, and it's something cool for a 6th grader to see how a 12th grader worships, or how a senior in high school can encourage a junior higher in their walk. And that all starts in youth group, in a large group level of fellowship.
Yeah.
Then you have a small group level of fellowship, and that's where you might have 2 or 3 people, generally of the same gender, where they can meet and in a group discuss hot topics. Man, it's great to have that in a large group, which not everyone's comfortable talking in that large group, and you don't really might feel comfortable even bringing up stuff in front of someone of the opposite gender. But in that small group, that allows a new level of fellowship, that allows some hey, I'm a student, I want to know, I want to understand. Can we talk about this and not be condemned, not be judged, but just to be able to be encouraged and built up and be able to get some answers from adults, from some adult leaders, which, never mind, and be able to even have some other youth. I loved one year I did my sex and dating talk, and I had 2 kids who have gone through it 4 times. They were in my first group that I ever did sex and dating.
Yeah.
And in this lesson, they basically taught it with the boys. And they just went off on everything. And I also kind of felt like these 2 boys did not normally listen. And for them to be coming back and be giving me all these amazing responses, I didn't have to teach the lesson. They did.
Yeah.
That was amazing. And I know that the youth listened more because these were 2 seniors in high school telling them.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, in the last part of fellowship is the discipleship.
Yeah.
Having a young adult, having an adult who's willing to take their time out and do one-on-one, one-on-two discipleship, and be able to meet the youth where they're at and be able to say, how do I help you grow? Whether it's spiritually, how do I help you grow mentally? Sometimes it's helping with homework, sometimes it's living life, sometimes it's doing basketball drills. But it's that one-on-one relationship that a youth gets to see what it's like to be grown and developed, and all of this obviously being focused around Christ, because we can see how Christ did that in the gatherings and the teachings with the many people around. We see that in his 12 disciples. We see that being a little bit more of a small group, and Jesus even made it even smaller. And then there's that one-on-one time that he spent with each of those people and taught lessons to.
Yeah.
And so I think that would be my quick take on why is youth group important, because you get to encounter all 3 of those, and you don't encounter those without it.
Yeah, there's something special about youth group when it comes down to those encounters with other students who are in the same boat as you, sometimes even going to the same school and participating in the same sports and doing all these other things with you. But having a dedicated time each of the week to, I'm going to go here and I'm specifically focused on building my relationship with God and with the fellowship and building fellowship with the friends that I have here. Yeah, and that's a very big value that comes from youth group. Yeah. I know that for myself, I was thinking about this just on my drive up here because I kind of wanted to give my initial response. So I tried not to think about it too much. But I kind of thought about 3 specific things that you gain from being a part of a youth group. The first one being that you have a chance to participate and be a part of sound biblical teaching, and coming from a youth pastor, coming from the Bible, getting to know who God is. Why do I need a relationship with God? What does the Bible say about all of these things? How do I interact with somebody as a Christian person? What does that look like? How am I supposed to be set apart? And including into the worship. What is worshiping and singing and praising God's name? What does that look like? Where is the biblical knowledge that needs to come with that, and understanding why we worship in the first place? So you get to gain this biblical knowledge that comes with being a part of youth group for potentially 6-8 years, I think is what it is, depending on how many grades you go through.
Yep.
So that's one thing that I've always thought that you gain. The second thing being just friendships, like the fellowships. You get a chance to be with people who are going to love and care for you, and hopefully then the way that we hopefully teach our kids to not be judgmental towards everybody, to be able to come forth and just be open about what's going on in their lives, and to feel like it's okay for me to be vulnerable here in this place because these individual here will still love me. They'll still care for me. These are friendships that I'm going to build and will last a lifetime. I know that I still have friends from my youth group whenever I was a kid, that I still do my best to keep up with and track down and say, how are you doing and how's life and stuff like that. There's some big lifelong friendships that come from that because they're rooted in this seed that is Jesus Christ who comes through that, which makes those relationships last as long. And then the last thing that I thought of was youth group is kind of your first chance to really start to define your moral compass. Or another way of saying, finding out what makes Matt Matt and what makes Jordan Jordan, like who I am as a person and how I belong and everything that's going on here. And getting a chance to sit down with a youth pastor, a youth leader, older students, and getting to hear some of the wisdom that they gained by living before you, and just saying, hey, this is what stuff looks like. This is how things go. If in this situation it's best to act in this way, and this way it's this way. You get these opportunities to learn about how to deal with situations in life that aren't just being taught by a life coach that can give you some vague terms on how things are supposed to go. But no, like this is all rooted in biblical knowledge of this is how we as Christians need to interact. We need to love thy neighbor. This is how we love thy neighbor. We need to not covet the things that they own. We need to be able to care for people. And starting to understand morally what you're like choosing to believe in, because where it starts there, whenever you're young and you're still learning about life and what all goes on at the age of 12 to 13, I think is when they start, and then they get out at 18 or so.
Yep.
That's like some huge lifetime that you're gonna really like. Once you whatever you figure out there is probably what your life is going to be like in the years after that.
It helps build that foundation that develops that character, and just like you said, right before COVID happened, I was being able to have some time with one of my youth, and he was before youth group he'd show up and we'd just hang out, and he was starting to ask some great questions.
Yeah,
and I love that because this is that type of place to be able to say, hey, so I understand. This is good or bad, but I don't understand why. Man, okay, let's talk about that. And not just giving them the answer, but it's helping them to be able to grow and develop and think on their own and be able to show them, hey, well, because at the end of the day, your opinion and my opinion really doesn't matter. It's what's God's opinion on everything.
Yeah. And,
hey, this is what the scriptures say. Being a youth pastor is often being like Google for verses. It's like, hey, there's a verse about, thou shalt not kill or something like, okay, so that's going to be back in the Old Testament. Here we go. And walk them through. Or what's that real big verse that everyone always talks about? You mean John 3:16? Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just like, it's allowing them that access. Because if they're not given that access, there's so many things on a daily basis that wants and requires their attention. And youth group helps be able to give direct their attention to God and be able to help them in that time, because in our everyday lives it is so easy to get lost in everyday life, in the little details of, as adults, paying bills, of going from point A to point B. As a youth, I've got my tests, I've got my homework, I've got my football game, it's so easy to get lost in that, and it's great to have that time set aside to be able to, like you said, be able to come together and worship and put everything aside for a way. I often will talk about youth group as church for youth, because, man, church is a great and wonderful thing, but youth group is really where youth is going to get the most out of that experience with God and with those around them.
Yeah, I think another way of phrasing it for myself is like everywhere else in the world demands you to know what you're doing, and doesn't do a lot of hand-holding. But youth group is the exact opposite, where it's okay to not know what's going on.
Yeah.
It's okay to answer questions. We encourage that you have this open and vulnerability to say, I don't know what this thing is. Can you help me? And we'll be like, yes, we want to help you. That's what we're here for. I think it's like youth group has that just unique slot in society that we don't need you to be perfect. We don't, because we know you're not going to be perfect. Yeah. And that's not, that's just who we are as human beings. I know that we talked about last week about evil. We are not perfect. And we're not expecting that when you walk through the doors of a youth group and church specific as well.
But we can help with that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of life experience amongst youth leaders, youth pastors, youth volunteers, even amongst youth. Some of my the best leaders we've had that have been able to deal and address certain situations were other youth because they went through it, and God is not limited to just the leaders, not the wisest, not the smartest, not even the best people.
Yeah.
God uses all of them. It's just waiting for someone to say, "Here I am, send me."
Yeah. Youth group has a big value, I think. And
Absolutely. No, I know when I was a youth, I was also swimming. I was trying to get to a Division I scholarship, and I was swimming. I think it was 25 to 30 hours a week.
Wow.
Yeah, it was intense. I had 2-a-days, 5 days a week, and I swam every day except for Sundays. And with all that practice, I made sure I was at youth group because that was something I had to do for my spiritual growth and development, and so that my whole world wasn't around swimming. It was essential. That's what youth group does, is it helps create that environment. It helps create friendships. I know exactly what story I'm using today based on that, and so it's essential.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just like to compare it to something else that's a common denominator. If you want a scholarship in school, you study, you get in study groups, you put time in for study. If you wanted to be a Division I or an athlete in college, you have to join practice, you have to join a team, and to help you grow and develop. Youth group is that same thing in a spiritual sense. Do you want to be better prepared in life? Do you want to grow and develop your relationship with God? Do you need it? No, you can do all three of those things on your own. But it's a lot easier and a lot better if you're able to join a group, a team, a youth group.
Yeah. I agree with everything. I think like I said, there's a big value that comes with youth group, and it's just the first step in realizing that is just stepping back and then taking a look at what's around. Just getting to see, hey, okay, maybe I don't need to be in the moment right now. Let's just see what's coming from all this. Why am I still here? Well, it's because of this. It's because of X, Y, Z. It's because of finding friends, biblical teaching, fellowship, discipleship, all this. Yeah, there's a lot that comes with youth group, and I'm super excited to still be a part of it. Yeah, awesome. Well, let's talk about some stories.
All right, sounds good to me. So talking about the value of youth group, man, it reminds me of a time and just, some of those experiences you have in life that you never forget. And I don't think I've talked to this guy. I know I haven't talked to this young man in years, but I will always remember this retreat for two reasons. So I went on a retreat with my youth group.
Okay.
And this would probably be my third or fourth retreat I think I had been with this youth group. And we went to someplace in New Mexico. I don't remember that. But the guys got what we dubbed the Hobbit home.
Okay.
Because you walk through the front door. That is the tallest point of the building. Because after that, the roof slants down and it gets shorter and shorter and shorter. To where, like you're standing in the bedroom and it's like almost touching your head. The closet had a higher ceiling than the bedroom did. This little Hobbit home was a one bedroom, one bathroom place that I think about somewhere between 12 to 16 guys were going to sleep in.
Really?
Yeah, we had guys all throughout the living room. We had a couple of people in the bedroom. We had one person sleeping in the closet. Yeah, and so it's just... So we enter this Hobbit home.
Okay.
And upon entry, there is this white porcelain cat with big yellow eyes just staring at you from the little dining room table. And my buddy James, who was an awesome godly leader, but he was a year older than me, it just freaks him out. He's just like, dude, that cat, it's just like no matter where you go, it watches you. No, we need to get rid of that cat. Like, what do you mean get rid of it? I mean, we're just staying here for a couple of nights, and just here. So he picks it up and he puts it in the oven.
In the oven?
In the oven. He's like,
So
I don't
my
want to
first
see
thought.
it. The cat was put in jail.
Okay.
And so we'll go on, and man, this retreat, there's going to be a couple of things that just are awesome that happen. I mean, it was a good retreat. I think If I remember correctly, there was somewhere between 30 and 40 of us combined.
Mm-hmm.
The girls' room was also the main meeting area. It was a much larger cabin. We would eat there, and we'd have fun. But that was a big time for, particularly I remember the guys. There were a few of us guys that really connected and were brought in. There was about 7 of us that really wanted to take on more of a leadership role, made a commitment of wanting to do more for this youth group.
Yeah.
Now, my youth group at that time was about, it was about 100 senior high and about 40 junior high at that time. And so there's a lot of people, but we were all from different schools, all different things, and we wanted to do some stuff. We wanted to have a bigger impact in our society. And so that's going to grow throughout the time. But, with any guys growing together, well, there's got to be some fun in this.
Of course.
Sunday morning, I'm pretty sure it was Sunday morning, because when you're sleeping with a bunch of guys and they're all around you, if you're wise, you become a light sleeper because you never know what's about to happen.
Mm.
Well, about 6:30 on Sunday morning, I think it was, one of the guys got up and got the cat out of the oven.
Oh, no.
And walked over to James's sleeping bag, and he put it just out of reach, staring at James.
Into his soul.
It's staring into his soul. And then he gets back into his sleeping bag, and he just sits and waits. And so once I figure what's going on, I just sit and wait.
Yeah.
Slowly but surely, you see one guy by one guy wake up and kind of look and see how all the other guys are staring at something and being like, what are they? Oh.
Mm.
So I don't remember. There were not many people in the living room that were not awake by the time James wakes up. And what I see from my vantage point was James he was stretching it out under his sleeping bag. He had cocooned cocooned himself real good.
Of course.
And so you see the flex of the sleeping bag, and he rolls over. Eyes get big. And all of us just start to laugh. And there was one leader that was not awake, and he was in a chair, I think, and he kind of bolted up. It was like, what the? And we all start laughing.
Yeah.
People come out of the bedroom and be like, what's going on? So we're all laughing, and James he is just ticked. And he's not ticked at anyone. He's ticked at the cat. He's like thoroughly freaking out that this cat is there. And it was strange to me.
Of course.
I think it would be similar to your response to a spider.
Oh, yeah.
So he's trying to get out of his sleeping bag, and as he's partially beginning to uncover, he's right next to the fireplace, and every fireplace has a poker. He's reaching to grab the poker.
Oh.
And at this point, I realize the cat's life is in danger.
The porcelain cat.
cat.
The porcelain. Let's make sure.
And so with that, I got up, and I grabbed the cat, and I go put it back, and he just calms down a little bit, and it was hysterical. So that was a great time of fellowship.
Of course.
Of course. But that allowed us to go and we meet up with the girls. And the girls, they're not right next door. Mm-hmm. But they had heard something. They're like, we thought we heard some noise over at your guys. Yeah, and we tell them the story, and they laughed. And it was a good time. But also in that moment, again, with those particularly 7 guys, I'm one of them, James is one of them.
Yeah.
And for us, it was, there's that fellowship, but that we also made that kind of a commitment. And that's going to step into some leadership roles that will carry on for the next year or two in that youth group. This is going to become a core group of men that encourage and build up people in the youth group. And just some great things happen about it.
Yeah.
And so I'm really focusing on the funny part because, God, it was funny. But in the seriousness, it was, that's the relationship. I have most of my funny stories actually in my youth group come from James because he was just that type of a person.
Yeah.
I look forward to the next one about the water bottle. But
Oh, a little sneak peek.
but he was a great and awesome guy that we got to do fun stuff with. But what always impressed me about him particularly was he was willing to grow. He was willing to develop. He was he was a kind guy. He was one of those guys that was like, hey, how can I help? And he wanted to be in your life. It wasn't just tell me all the good stuff. It was like, what's going wrong? How can I help? Do you need to talk to someone? And that was developed and cultivated amongst those 7 men, or young men in that retreat. There are other things that happened, of course, but being the essentials of a youth group. I haven't seen James in years, but he was one of my best friends in high school. He was a great example to me, even though he was a year younger than me, he was someone I would look up to.
Yeah.
And you don't get that except for I invited him to my youth group. And he was in another one, and he'll end up joining mine. And for those couple of years, he's going to help me really grow and develop.
Yeah.
And so you get the fun, and then you get the serious. But
Yeah.
they go hand in hand and have applications for years to come.
Yeah, exactly. That's a big value that comes with youth group, is finding those friends, finding those key people in your life that really make a big difference. I know that I definitely have some of those key people as well that have been a big help in my life that started from youth group. So, thank you, Matt, for sharing that story.
Well, I'm looking forward to what yours is, so let's get into it.
Okay, yeah. So the story that I got today, it's a little more on the serious side.
Okay.
I've been noticing that whenever I think about what stories I'm going to share, the only ones that I really remember are most of the serious ones. Maybe I just have a lot of serious stories. Who knows? Maybe I'm just a very sad guy. But but I thought I would share this one because I feel like it goes along with the question. Which is, so this was while I was in youth group. And this was actually during a particular time that went on for about a year or so, where we didn't have a youth pastor at all. I know that in earlier episodes I alluded to the fact that I had about 7 different youth pastors in my 6th grade through 12th grade of being, or 5th grade really. I was there a year early because I was just there. So like, what, 6, 7 years, more 8, I have no idea, of being a part of youth group. I had about 6 different youth pastors. But one of those years, we didn't have a youth pastor at all. It was just a long search by the search committee to find a person who's fit well. I think I remember having a couple gentlemen come in and do like a one-off teaching just to like see if they'd be interested, and then I just would never hear of that guy again. But during this time, the super amazing part was that we had some fantastic Sunday school leaders that stepped up and every single Wednesday night would lead youth group. So we had 4 people specifically. There was my mom. There was the pastor's wife, Danielle. There was one gentleman named Robert Vanya, and another guy named Eric Kirshner. So 2 guys and 2 girls, and they were probably some of my favorite people that ran the youth, because they did it in a, I'm not really sure what all we're doing, but we're going to come up with some lessons, we're going to have a good time, and we're going to make sure we're having fun. And it was from a spot where they were just going to be very genuine about everything that was going on. And it was just really fun and enlightening to kind of see that you don't always have to have a designated guy or girl that's the youth pastor. Sometimes you can have some amazing leaders step up and be those people. So the one thing that I want to talk about is there was one night specifically, I think this was after a church camp. And it was after it was like a Wednesday, maybe 2 weeks after a church camp. I was going through a lot of stuff at the time. I know that I talked about this a little in my testimony a while back, but my father had stepped away from our lives He wanted to. They got a divorce, my parents. He also then he married another woman at one point. But one thing that I haven't talked about is there was a time where my dad was suicidal. And maybe I'll get to that another time, but I remember that there was one specific camp where a potential time where I wasn't going to see my dad again had come right before church camp, and I think this was the same year that all this had happened. What had happened, so fast forward a little bit, I know I'm a little spark on the story, but Eric and Robert, Danielle, and my mom decided that we wanted to have a special night of youth group to where we were going to go around, and they just had this idea of we're just going to go and we're going to have all the students gather around in a circle, and we're going to grab a bucket of water, and we're going to have some rags, and we're just going to wash the feet of our youth students.
Yep.
And as you probably know, that's a very impactful time on any student. And I, at the time, was going through so much that I felt like I don't belong here. I don't really understand what's going on. I feel like there's so many things going on in my life that this is all very confusing times. What's the point of me being here at youth group? I don't understand why there's a Jesus and a God that still has all of this crappy things going on right now. I was just not in a good headspace. But specifically that night, they decided that they were going to do this. None of the students knew about that. We just gathered around in a circle at one point.
They never do.
And they just, they didn't even say, hey, this is what we're doing tonight. All of a sudden, Eric Kirshner came up to me, and he took off my shoes. He took off my socks.
So what's going through your mind as that's happening?
At that point, I was like, I have no idea what's going on. I see that there's a thing of water. I see that there's a rag. Everybody's around in a circle. The lights are kind of dim, and some sad, kind of mopey music, or not, some sad vibe music is going on right now. I'm confused on what's happening. I initially was thinking, man, I really hate toenails. And my toenails probably didn't look that great. So the moment he takes off my socks, I'm like, I'm sorry, my feet probably look horrible. Like you're looking at them and you're holding my feet right now. Like that's super weird. But he just looks up at me and he just says, Jordan, may I wash your feet? And I said, sure. Yeah. And he starts doing that, and the moment water touched my feet was the moment I just started bursting into tears. And I'm kind of doing that a little bit now because it was emotional. But the reason that I wanted to talk about that was youth group for me at that point. I got to see that Eric and the other 3 volunteers specifically wanted to take care of the students that were there, and that they weren't blind to us. Like I, as a student, was somebody that they thought of, that they cared about, that they cherished. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't feeling that from myself. I didn't feel like I was cherished. I didn't feel like I was cared for. I was feeling abandoned. And knowing that Eric would go out of his way to do that for me, to get down there, it then made me think of, man, Jesus, I know right now is wanting to do this right now too. Mm-hmm. That he, through Eric, is washing my feet because Jesus cares about me enough to die on the cross for my sins. Mm-hmm. And that he wanted to love me, specifically me, Jordan Bolt. And that just set me on a high throughout the rest of my time there and the youth group.
It's awesome, man.
Yeah, and it's just to tie it back to just the value of youth group, man, there's just moments where you feel like you're lost and you just don't know what you're doing. And you feel like even though you're surrounded by a group of 20, 15, 50, 5 people, you still feel alone sometimes, and you still feel like there's these parts of you that are abandoned. But to have those volunteers, those youth pastors, those people specifically come to you and say, I care about you, I love you, and I love you because Jesus Christ loved you, was just a big boost in just who I was as a person and how I can care for other people, how I can love them. Of just knowing, man, if they can love me as much as I'm seeing right now, I can start to love myself too. Yeah, man, and that moment only came from here and being in a youth group, from knowing that there are leaders that are designed to be here to love and care for you no matter what's going on in life, that you can really push them away and they're gonna keep nagging at you and keep checking in on you. And I know that I was pushing people away at that time. So yeah, I don't know, I just wanted to share that. I know it's a serious topic, but man, it sent me through the roof on just, man, Jesus Christ really loves me. These 4 youth leaders, Eric, Rob, Danielle, and my mom, they really love me and are wanting to do this. And it wasn't just my feet they washed everybody else's
Obviously,
feet, of course, but man, me and Eric to this day still talk about those times. Eric ended up being a very influential gentleman for me and knowing what it's like to be a man of God. He was the Sunday school teacher that was always there and consistent whenever other men weren't for me. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. And that really does talk to the value about being able to experience something like this. Because, I know in my youth group, I've done that several times with the youth, of having a foot washing ceremony or just doing something like that. That's powerful. That not a lot of people think about that. You have to have some crazy people that get together to brainstorm, like, okay, so we're going to do this with the youth. What are we going to do? Okay, we're going to use some tarp and ketchup, and we're going to convey Christ's love. Don't know how that happens, but you got to have those interesting people that are willing to lead it, because it's people that love and care about the youth that God has set up to be able to meet them in a unique way and be in a very direct way of, man, I know that you're a youth. I know you're going through things. I know that I was there. I've done that. I love you. I care about you. And you're not alone.
Yeah.
I think your story really highlights some of those things. And I hope that anyone who's listening realizes, if you haven't been in a youth group for a while, get plugged into one. There's so many good youth groups out there, not just here at Solid Rock. I mean, we're friends with a lot of the different youth groups out here. But if you're not in one of those, you miss a moment like Jordan shared. You miss a Jordan you miss a moment like I shared. It's just like when you're missing church.
Yeah.
You need that fellowship. And so if you're a youth and you're listening and you're not involved in a youth group, man, come talk to us. We'll do the best we can to help you find a youth group. And if you're wanting to come visit us, man, we love that. But at the end of the day, here at Solid Rock, we want to encourage people to be where God's calling them to be. And not everyone's going to be called to be here, but if we can help in any way, we want to do that.
Yeah, I know that even in the midst of 2020 with coronavirus going on and some groups just not being able to meet, and virtual groups is kind of the key to a lot of things. I persuade you, please, if an online group is what you feel most comfortable with,
do it.
Then go for it. But there is definitely something that is very unique to churches and youth groups, that whenever you come together physically with one another, there is just this special bond that comes in the middle of all that doesn't transition well through that screen. Those connections can easily be just turned off by shutting the laptop, as opposed to here you have to physically walk out, you have to say goodbye, but we want to keep you here, we want to love on you, we want you to know that we care about you. There's something beautifully unique when it comes to physically having everybody here in these groups. So that's my story.
Well, thanks, man.
Thanks for sharing your story, man.
All right, and with that, I guess we'll be heading into the last part of Choose It or Lose It.
Okay, so Matt, we're going to do some choose it or lose it. This is where we bring about our hot topics that are going on and give our hot takes on what we think about it. There's some banter in between. There's a little bit of explanation. We do our best to keep it fast.
Decently short.
Yes, but we know you want our opinions because at the end of the day, our opinions do matter. And by that,
we tell
yeah,
ourselves
they totally don't. But feel free to put your opinion in the comments. But okay, I'll go ahead and start.
All right.
With some choose it or lose it. So this is pretty. I may be dating this episode, and that's totally fine. So
we do a lot of that.
Yes, but this one is pretty recent on a viral video that's been going around.
Oh,
and it's not a viral video because it's happy-go-lucky viral videos. It's a viral video because we have a person yelling at some people. So there is a lady who was going into a grocery store and was told that she couldn't go inside the grocery store because she wasn't wearing a face mask.
Okay.
And the grocery store people said, well, I'm sorry, we have policies. You can't come in here. We can shop for you. We can do all these other things for you to help you, but you cannot come into the store without a face mask. This lady was furious about that. She was going on about how she had a medical condition that would say that she can't wear a face mask, that why would you do the shopping for me? I have private items that I don't want you to know about. How would you pay for it? Would I give you my card? I don't trust you. Why would I trust you with my card? It just turned into this whole...
Escalated scene.
Yeah, it just escalated very quickly about face masks. So, I wanted to ask you, Matt, choose it or lose it on face masks.
Oh, God. I almost brought that one today.
Oh, really?
Almost. I thought about it, and I was just like, no, I don't for the exact reasons I'm going to share. I would absolutely lose face masks. They are, scientists have been going through, and a lot of the ones that average Joe has, the bandana, the cloth one, if it doesn't have a filter, it doesn't do anything. All it does is it provides a false sense of security for those around them. Yes, now if you were to sneeze or something like that, where you'd have the sudden outburst of saliva, it helps with that. But it does not help protect you very much, and it definitely doesn't help protect others that much. They're not designed, but what it does do is it helps people feel better about, oh, well, they're covered, it's good. No. Now, there are masks out there that have the proper filters that do make a difference. So if you were to get the right type of masks, absolutely, those are great, and that's what they're there for, and those would fulfill the need required. But your average Joe bandana, the cloth one that I have, they're virtually useless. All it is it's conveying to other people, oh, I'm trying to take care of myself, which means I'm trying to take care of you, and we're all okay. At the end of the day, I don't think there's been some research going around and showing that it's not that helpful. The average mask. Now, if you're in a field or something that you need a real mask, use it. That's great. But at the end of the day, if we are just wanting to have a false sense of security, the masks work a great job. But at the end of the day, they're not helping that much.
And I totally get that. But I'll be on the opposite end of the spectrum.
Go for it.
Where I will choose masks. And choosing masks for a lot of the reasons why you're choosing to lose it. Where I am a part-time job is working a favor, which is a food delivery service where I go around. I come in contact with restaurants and people often. Now, every person that I deliver the food to, I just leave it on their doorstep, whether it's groceries, P. Terry Burger, or whatever. It'll just go. I leave everything on the doorstep. But because of the position that I'm in right now, I am choosing to continue to wear a face mask because any protection is some protection. I know that it's not going to stop everything from coming in. I know that it's not going to keep everything from going out. But at least it is something rather than nothing. which is why I continue to push people towards wearing a face mask. When I see somebody that's not wearing a face mask, I usually try to skirt around them a little bit more, or just make sure that everything's okay. Because it's just one of those, yeah, I know that it's a peace of mind kind of a thing, but I want people, I want to at least see that somebody's willing to care about the health of themselves and the health of other people. Because I do care about other people, so that's why I put on a face mask, to protect myself, because my girlfriend has a brother who is immune deficient, so I actually haven't been able to see her, and I could see her on short little bursts where I can walk around with her for like an hour, but then I can't go inside the house or anything like that. So I'm doing everything that I can to make sure that I'm safe, that the other people that I come in contact with are also safe, so I have a face mask. Yeah, I'm right now choosing it because something is better than nothing. So,
Makes sense, man.
yeah.
And I do have a mask too, and I do wear it around groups, but only to convey that false sense of security.
Sometimes, yeah.
And that's fine, and that's what I like about this, is because we don't always agree on things, and that's perfectly okay.
Yeah, and that's okay too.
So I'm going to move into the next thing, which actually will go kind of decently well with this.
Okay.
Because it's another accessory.
Okay.
So, as you're sporting around in your personalized or special mask that you're wearing, your outfit is not complete without the sunglasses, especially out here in Texas. And so, there's lots of talks about what sunglasses you should get and all these kinds. And man, I want your take on choose it or lose it. Would you I'm thinking of like Ray-Ban sunglasses, those sunglasses that cost $100 or more, those expensive sunglasses. Would you choose to have an expensive pair of sunglasses, or would you rather not?
So, I have always been a mostly frugal person. So when it comes down to luxury items, like Ray-Ban sunglasses, there's never been a thought in my mind of, man, I really want some Ray-Bans. I am definitely losing the expensive sunglasses now, mostly because to me, sunglasses, whenever they're starting to get higher up in prices to the over $100 to $200 sunglasses, that to me is no longer, I'm wearing this for eye protection, I'm wearing this as a status symbol, is what it starts to become. And I don't wear things for status symbols. I never really have. I mean, that's why I wear some of the same pair of pants 2 days in a row, because it really doesn't matter to me. Like, it fits great. Like, I'm going to wear the same pair of jeans for a whole week sometimes.
Easy, yeah.
Easy.
Absolutely. You mean that's not normal?
Yeah, I mean, not to everybody, but yeah, I mean, I'll do that. I just have never been the person that wears something as a status symbol. So I am the person that will go down to the local Walmart, Walgreens, whatever place starts with a W, and buy some El Cheapo pair of sunglasses for less than $10, slap them on my face, and be okay with it. I mean, I right now have a pair of sunglasses that I think I got for like $20 because they were glasses at Disney World, and while I was there, and I really wanted some pair, and Disney, they hike up everything.
Of course.
But I mean, I've held on to those glasses for 7 months now, so that's been pretty good. It's mostly because I forget things a lot. I think I've told you about how I was so excited that I found a $2 water bottle, like the reusable water bottle at H-E-B, because I was so excited that I can lose it and not really feel bad about it because it's only $2. Same with pair of sunglasses. Like I if I have a 5 pair of sunglasses and I will forget it at some point, I'll lose it somewhere, I won't really bother. But if I lose my Ray-Bans, $100 thing, I'm gonna go crazy and try and find it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm losing expensive sunglasses. What about you, Matt?
Man, as a swimmer, one of the natural jobs you get is becoming a lifeguard, which eventually becomes a pool supervisor and coach. And so I spent hours upon hours at a pool.
Yes.
I mean, people didn't know I was white until I left the swimming world because I was so tan from always being outdoors in a pool. Because in El Paso, there was a lot of outdoor swimming.
I'd love to see you tan.
Yeah, no, that hasn't happened in a long time.
I have to look at some old pictures of that.
But with that, sunglasses were a must. And with that, with lots of moving around and doing things, you lose them, you break them.
Yeah.
When I was a swim coach, my kids, one of their favorite games was to steal my hat that I'd wear. And I'd have to chase them and get my hat back. And then they tried to go to the sunglasses. I'm like, don't do that because you'll break those. I know that. And so I always did El Cheapos because Jeff Foxworthy does a great skit on cheapo sunglasses versus expensive ones and just kind of talks about how you have an expensive pair, they will disappear, they will break like that. He goes, I'm convinced that you can be on a boat, lean over, your cheapo pair is going to fall off into the ocean, and some diver's going to come up and go, hey, got some cheapos here, someone dropped some cheapos. Mm-hmm. Who lost your cheap sunglasses? It's like you those things are indestructible, and it's hard to lose them.
Yeah.
And they keep coming around. I just found a pair of mine that I've been missing for about a month, and so it's just like, so I will definitely lose the expensive ones and give me those. I will take those 5 cheapos and I will use those for 5 years. In the time I'd probably lose, and in that time I'd have to buy another like 3 of the expensive ones.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm losing it.
So we're back in agreement.
Well, now I have another one. So we got another choose or lose it. I would like to know what your take is on. Now I know we can't have it right now, but we used to be able to have it. Movie theater popcorn.
Okay.
What is your take on movie theater popcorn?
Man, so I love popcorn. I don't know if you know, this is one of my favorite snacks.
Really? Okay.
There's several places that are local that I hit up, and I became a special member where you bring in a tin, you buy the tin for like $20 and you get like $7 refills. And one of them's in Wimberley, and so that's the closest one I've been a member of. And if it were here, I would make that a every other day venture probably to keep it full. Mm-hmm. I love popcorn. Now that all being said, I'm weird at the movie theaters.
Okay.
I show up, I watch the movie, and I leave. I don't get any drinks. I don't get any snacks. I never have.
Never have.
Never have, and I hate sneaking in stuff. I've been with friends that'll sneak stuff in, and it'll be like, I just feel wrong about this. I'm not going to turn you in, but I'm not going to participate either. And so, man, I just like to go, watch the movie, and get going. So I've always heard it's really good. I just can't usually justify for me the price. Mm-hmm. It's usually, especially for these deals that I can find of gourmet popcorn, I'm just like, $7 for 3 different flavors and get one of those Christmas tins of popcorn.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
In whatever flavor you want. Or spend about $5 to get a bag of popcorn that will be gone in a day. Yeah, no, I like the other one. So I'm going to take a pass on the movie theater popcorn.
So you're losing it.
I'm losing
You're
it.
losing it. Okay. Well, back on disagreement, because I am choosing it. No, I'm not choosing it as hard as my uncle. My uncle is a gentleman who will go to a movie theater and will buy 2 large things of popcorn, and in the middle of the movie theater, go up and get a refill.
Dang.
That's my uncle. That is not me. I am somebody who, the only popcorn that I do eat is movie theater popcorn.
Okay.
I like popcorn. I would say ice cream is my favorite treat, period.
Nice.
End of story.
I would agree with that.
Yes. Give me a gallon of Blue Bell and I'm ready to go. Bless the Lord. But movie theater popcorn, to me, tastes delicious, probably because it's smothered up in butter and they make it so good. It's one of those. So I'm a person that if you give me popcorn at home and we're like watching a movie theater at home, and you give me like that bag of popcorn, the Ohrbacher or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
If you give that to me, I need to eat it within about 4 minutes of it coming out of the microwave.
Okay.
Because I have to eat popcorn when it's warm. The moment that it starts to become not warm, it then in my brain starts to become stale and disgusting.
Okay.
And I hate the smell of stale popcorn. It just is so utterly disgusting to me. But there's something about movie theater popcorn that if I don't finish the whole thing and halfway through the movie I decide, you know what, I want to go back and eat it, that one I can eat it. It just feels fine. But if I'm at home and I just Yeah, I don't like popcorn at home. The only popcorn that I'll ever eat is at a movie theater. So,
Gotcha. Okay.
yeah, I'm choosing it.
Man, it is all good. I can understand.
Okay, well, your last one and then my last one.
Wait, I've got two more.
Oh, you got two more.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Oh gosh.
Yeah. So with that, and after a good movie night, continuing with the theme of food,
Yeah.
something that you do, you might go grab dinner. And at this place I'm about to ask you about, this is a popular place. This is a place that is anywhere across, for sure Texas, I know. I don't know how much further across the U.S. it exists, but Taco Cabana. Good old Taco Cabana. Is that a place that you enjoy, that you like to participate in a lot? Are you one of those Taco Cabana nuts that just love it? And so I'm asking you, Jordan, choose it or lose it on Taco Cabana.
It's weird, Matt. The moment you said Taco Cabana, because I say Cabana, not Cabana.
Okay.
I don't know if it's the right way, but I've always said Taco Cabana. Is it instantly brings me back to some memories of whenever I was living with my parents down in League City, because there was this Taco Cabana that was right outside of Target and Chili's. That sometimes that was just like the designated meeting place of like, hey, we're right off of a long day of school and work. Do we all just want to go over to Taco Cabana and get some food real quick? And I don't know. I just remember having so many fun memories of going to Taco Cabana. Now, I've been here in San Marcos, have not gotten it near as much. But man, I think I would choose Taco Cabana. I'm not a fanatic. I don't know who these fanatics you're talking about are. I'm a little worried about them. But I enjoy Taco Cabana. It tastes good. It's good tacos. They're relatively cheap because I like cheap tacos.
Mm-hmm.
I know how much it costs to make a taco. I can make them at home. So
You do often.
Yes, and if you are gonna charge me $4 for one taco, I'm like, come on, Torchies, come on, you're better than this. I'm choosing Taco Cabana. It's just lots of fun memories that come from saying Taco Cabana out loud, and I just like the food. It's pretty good.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, my memories were not the best.
Oh,
of Taco
no.
Cabana, and I don't know. I've always called it Taco Cabana, so I guess we'll just be different.
We'll be in
Today's the day of
disagreement.
difference. But I know my girlfriend loves it.
Yeah.
I mean, she is one of those Taco Cabana nuts that just
Really?
she loves it. She particularly loves their tortillas, and I'm not a big bread guy. I'm like, cool, they're as good as everyone else's, but I kind of take the other version of you on the tacos of. I don't really want to spend $3, $4, $5 taco on a taco because you're right, you can get it a lot cheaper. But if you're doing it really well and it's worth that money, I'm happy to do that. So I'm happy to do the Torchies or the Fuegos, Taco Cabana in a pinch, or just when we're hungry. In a pinch. It'll work. I like it okay, but
Sorry.
at the end of the day, that will not be my favorite place. So I'm going to say lose it to Taco Cabana, with the acknowledgement that it is decent, it's good, but it's just not my thing.
Okay.
All right, so now you got your last one.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so my last one is choose it or lose it.
Mm-hmm.
Communion crackers or bread. No, yeah, we'll go with crackers. Communion crackers. Specifically crackers.
Okay.
Are you choosing it or losing it on communion crackers?
Okay, I gotcha. So that's an interesting one. Growing up in the Episcopal Church, we had special little wafers that were kind of like crackers.
Yeah.
Here at Solid Rock, we offer both a cracker and bread.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, for me, at the end of the day, is it a Hawaiian roll or is it a cracker? Because if there's a Hawaiian roll, I'm going to take the Hawaiian roll.
Mm-hmm.
And more often than not, I choose the cracker because whatever bread is there is not a Hawaiian roll. But I will do Hawaiian roll over cracker, and I will do cracker versus all of the bread. It's just, I like it's quick, it's simple, and I like crackers. They're better with cheese and meat, but with grape juice they're okay too. So I will choose the crackers.
Okay. I think I'm losing crackers. I'm a bread kind of a guy, which feels weird to say that I'm picky about which communion I'm trying to associate the body of Christ with.
That just shows you we cover all topics.
Yes, of course. But I know there was a church that I went to while I was in College Station that what they would do is they would have the actual bread and then you would tear off a piece of the bread. And then they wouldn't have a cup of wine. They would just have a bowl, and it wasn't wine; it was grape juice. They would have a bowl of grape juice, and then you would take the bread and you would dip it into the grape juice, and then take it to where you were going.
Intinction is what that's called.
Really, I didn't know there was a specific name for it.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of liked that because it just was like a quick and easy. I didn't need to worry about throwing anything away because I was just gonna eat all of it. That was right in front of me. And yeah, no, I think I've always been the bread guy because I'm also the person that whenever service ends and there's still some leftover bread that I usually then go over and eat that bread.
Nice.
Because you can never have too much of the body of Christ, man.
No, you never can. That is true.
So yeah, I'm losing it
On the crackers.
Communion crackers.
All right. So we've been mostly not in agreement today.
Yes, that's true.
And so it'll be interesting because we will end with a very spicy topic.
Oh no.
In fact, it is so spicy, it reaches over 2 million Scoville.
Oh gosh.
So, we both watch and listen to different podcasts. It gives us a little idea of what we want to do, but it's just based on our own interests and different things like that. There's one out there that has been going on for 11 seasons now that I'm familiar with that I think just about everyone has heard of at one point. It's called Hot Ones. And it's the Hot Wing interview where the interviewer is going to meet with other people and they're going to discuss 10 questions over the 10 hot wings. And as they start off mild and they get to now, in the most recent season, season 11, the hottest wing, the last dab, has a Scoville unit of over 2 million.
Yes.
Just to give you an idea, Texas Pete hot sauce is a 747. That would be, you get that just about anywhere here in Texas and just about here in San Marcos. That's like one of your lowest. The Tabasco, I think, is 1,200 or 1,800.
So you're going all the way from 1,200 Tabasco to 2 million
Scoville. So.
And on that one, the last dab is where they, at the very end, they still put on a little bit more of the hot sauce on the wing.
It's called the last dab. So you're familiar with the show.
Yes, I am familiar with the show.
Good. So at the end of the day, I want to know your take. Would you choose it or lose it to the Hot Ones YouTube series?
To just the YouTube series or just hot wings or hot sauce?
The Hot Ones seasons that they've been showing YouTube, just that podcast YouTube thing.
I'm definitely gonna choose it. I like that stuff. I've definitely seen them do. I've watched a couple of their videos. I know that they put out a lot, but I usually just watch it when they're interviewing somebody that I'm interested in. Mm-hmm. Like I've seen the ones with some of the Parks and Recreation people that are in that because I really love that show. I've seen the one with Will Smith. I think I saw the one with Jonas Brothers a while back. I think it's just funny because I think the best one was the Kevin Hart one that I saw because he just couldn't handle it at one point, and at one point his bottom lip just goes numb at some point. Like, oh man, yeah, no, I love it because when you watch it you get to see just the reactions of them, just like some people are the people where they're going to take like the entire bite. Some people are the ones where they're going to take like a tiny little chipmunk-sized bite of the thing. I wouldn't mind going on it. I'd try my best, but I am not somebody who seeks out hot stuff in order to destroy my mouth. I like putting on like Tabasco. I like having some hot things, but I don't want to just like destroy who I am by inhaling 2 million Scovilles of hot salsa. But no, I'm choosing the hot wings. What's it called again?
Hot ones.
Hot ones, yeah. I couldn't remember. Yeah, I'm choosing hot ones.
Nice. So we will end on an agreement because I will choose it. I
figured you would.
I really like it for the sake, like you said, the reactions. I mean, you look at someone like Natalie Portman, who this small little girl, you're like, she's not going to handle this heat, and she did phenomenal.
Yeah.
On hers, like you said, Kevin Hart, you get some great reactions. You see some people who can't even make it all the way through.
Yeah.
It's highly entertaining in those aspects. But what I really like is, and I'm blanking on the name right now, but the interviewer, the guy that actually interviews everyone and has to go through this punishment.
Oh yeah, he does it every time.
And over. Man, he is a stone cold killer. When you watch him and he's taking that last stab like, hey, Nathan, it's nothing. And actually, interesting, it started off with the hottest one was 357,000 Scoville. And as the seasons have gone on, it's gotten hotter and hotter to now it's where over 2 million.
He probably just doesn't taste anything anymore.
You know, a lot of people say that and ask him about that. But I really enjoy watching him because he really gives me some inspiration and guidance on how to interview people because he does a great job with questions.
Yeah.
He does a great job of talking to the people, and because they're thinking, oh, you're going to talk to me about my show or this, but he does some great research and gets into them personally.
Yeah.
And he really does a great job, and for me as a pastor, I really enjoy watching that and studying that because some of that actually applies to when I have someone in the office or talking to a youth and just like, okay, so tell me about this.
Yeah.
They think it's meaningless, but it all ties together.
Yeah.
And you know, I am a spicy maniac who enjoys torturing myself. In fact, one of my nicknames is Butt Burner. And so, because of the way I cook,
and you wear that proudly?
I do. You know, because growing up, I could not eat spicy food. I don't know what happened, but somewhere in college, it snapped, and now I'm a masochist, and I'm proud of it. But okay, so we will end on that note. We agree. Hey, there we go on episode 5. We get 2 high fives.
I think we were in agreement for maybe two
of those. 2 of the 6.
2 out of 6. Yeah.
Which really sort of shocked me. I was like, I think this was the first episode where we've really had some different views and opinions, which is great.
Yeah, it's we're 2 different people, and that's okay if we have different opinions.
Absolutely.
Well, this has been really fun. Thanks to everybody who listened this long into the thing. We're hoping you're still listening now. But don't forget, like, comment, subscribe. We're excited to be here, and we'll be posting some more of these coming up soon.
Hope to see you next time for episode 6. Don't know what it's going to be, but again, we're always interested in your feedback. So give it to us. We'd love to talk to you, love to hear from you, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, bye.